Hello everybody, how's it going today? Back to look at this alien base. Um, I did one thing since it was last looked at, and that is I added a row of blocks all the way along the bottom of the base to make it one block higher on the footprint. I did this so I could indent the hangar floor in a little bit and keep it safe from not having like terrain and stuff pop up through it. Um, But it was kind of neat too because I got to add like a different row of things below, which kind of breaks it up a little bit more, I think. So, and I tried some different kind of design patterns here with some wedge blocks and things like that to come up with a little bit of a unique look. But it kind of changes all the way along the bottom of the base in different places. Some of it repeats, like over here, it's kind of like the other side, but this side over here is different. The only thing that are pretty much the same on both sides is the place where you enter into the hangar. Other than that, I think that'll be helpful. Now, all this stuff here obviously is going to be moved too. That's just temporary location. Um, but what I wanted to do is get cracking on the inside of the base, which is, well, a disaster pretty much at this time. Um, the only thing that's been done in here is the ceiling between the hangar doors. Um, but I wanted to start on one side or the other right now, and I'm thinking I'd like to get this area kind of set up. Now this is pretty much a big open space, and I'm going to have some more like offside landing pads over here is what the plan was. Um, all the business in the base, constructors, farm, things like that are all going to be probably in this front area and going up into this area. Um, so this is pretty much all hangar space from that point out to here. Now I still have to do block converts on this too because it's using concrete yet, and I need to convert that to hardened or yeah, the hardened concrete, combat concrete, something like that, which is not a big deal. In fact, to do that, especially knowing this tool up here, if you notice at the center of the screen on the top, I have something called debug information on, and that is console command DI. I'll just turn it off a second. Um, and what that tells you when you look at a block is it tells you the actual block name. So if you look at the bottom row up there, if it's seeable, um, this is concrete full. And I believe this is all case sensitive too. So to replace a block, if you haven't ever done that before, you'd have to know three things. You'd have to know the block you want to replace, or the block type, I should say, the block you want to replace it with, and the item number of the creation. For instance, this is item number 1244, and it tells you that if you get in the stat menu on your creation. Um, so, let's say I wanted to replace this block with the hardened steel version. And actually, I don't exactly know the name of the hard steel version off the top of my head, so let me just grab one of these blocks here. Let's see, where are you? Hardened, no, not hardened steel. There we go, armored concrete blocks. I'm gonna just pop one of these in here somewhere. And then looking at this, okay, so this is concrete armored full. So we want to go from concrete full to concrete armored full. So to do this, I believe the command is called replace block. I don't know if it's plural or not. I guess I'll find out. And then we need the creation number, which is 1244. And we want to go with concrete full and to concrete armored full. see if I got this right. If I didn't, it won't do it. Give me an error. Ah, so I screwed that up. So maybe it is plural. Let me try that. Okay. So it replaced 2,334 blocks. Now that shouldn't affect the exterior of the base because it was all textured and everything like that already, which is good. Now keep in mind, if you convert one block type, like say it was a steel block and I converted it to concrete, it would totally hold all the textures that you did because it uses a different texture palette. In this case, it was a direct translation, and that's why I wanted to use this and not like combat steel or something like that to replace it. Now, this is just half of it, though, because then there's another thing called the half blocks. And here, I'm going to just put an example down here, and we're going to pick like some smaller block, like that, and then I'm going to put down a smaller block of this. So now when we look at these, here, and I want to just make sure that it didn't replace that. It shouldn't have. So like, yeah. Okay, over here, this is still concrete extended 2? That doesn't. Concrete thin. Oh, is there, what the heck is that? That's a new block type. I never recalled seeing that before. Concrete extended 2. Okay, so let's convert the bulk of them at least. So we've got this one here, which is, oh, it still calls this concrete full. This changed some since I've last done this. Huh. So it looks like I gotta do concrete extended to, Alright. So let's try this here a minute. Concrete extended. God, what is this going to do? I'm worried that this might not do the right thing. I better check. One sec here. Okay, so concrete armored full. See, it calls those concrete armored full yet. It calls this concrete extended. Okay, let me put the same kind of block in this over here. So what are we? Concrete armored extended. Okay. Concrete, oh man, concrete extended 4? Oh boy. This isn't going to be so easy to convert this, I guess. This is new. I don't know why there's so many different names for these things. Looks like they've subnamed them all to different stuff. So I'm seeing regular extended, I'm seeing extended, there's like 2, there's 4. Uh-oh. Well, that's kind of how this works, but it looks like it got a little trickier. Let's try one more command here, see what happens. So, say this block here, concrete extended. Concrete extended, concrete armored. See, I don't know if I should, this is concrete armored extended, okay. Okay, so that did replace some. Hmm. Okay. Concrete extended. And by the way, to pull up the last command I'm putting in there, it's the up and down arrows. It kind of toggles through your commands. Concrete extended 4 to... Is that a thing then? Yes, it is. Okay. I just got to go through the numbers here. Is there such a thing as a 5? Yes, there is. I don't know how many of these there actually are. Okay, so it goes to 5, it looks like. So technically, that should have replaced, well, but it didn't. Oh, this concrete thin as well. Okay. So we got to do that now. Concrete thin. And then it would be concrete armored thin, maybe? Yes. Alright. I guess just a quick look around. I want to see if I see any more visible concrete blocks. It doesn't look like it anymore. See what the exterior looks like. Looks like everything's fine. Good. Alright, so now there's one other block I threw in here too, and that's hardened steel. And that's hull armored full large. So let's get that in there. And it would need to be converted to hull combat full large. Okay. Okay. There, so it no longer, well, unless there's thin ones on here too, and there might be. I'll have to keep a watch on that to see if I see any more blocks that shouldn't be that way. But that is how you do block converts on creation. It used to be a little simpler where you only had to replace the full blocks and the thin blocks. But now it looks like there's 5 subcategories of other blocks that also need to be replaced. Something I didn't know prior to doing this here. But anyway, by doing that, I bet you it made this base a whole lot more expensive. Let's see, yeah. It was somewhere in the low 2-hour build time, and it went to 3 hours and 42 minutes by doing the convert on that. But, you know, it's a lot stronger now, too, so. Anyway, getting moving on this. First thing I wanted to do is kind of get the floor set up over here and then start hitting this ceiling. And what I originally wanted to do here is lower down or build a ramp over here, essentially. I do have SI off, which stands for structural integrity. So that is not on right now, or obviously this base would fall to the ground. It wouldn't be very happy at all. Okay, so we're going to say that this is the floor right now. I'm just going to kind of map it out a little bit here. See where everything kind of comes out. Do like to kind of get some position lines in, like these are lining up with the columns in between the solar panels. So I just kind of that might define what the size of these extra landing areas are. Probably will actually. So kind of nice to just know where you stand. Now over here, we've got glass that comes down to here. And for now, we'll just kind of build that out a little bit too. A lot of this is subject to change, of course. This side is a little different than that side. There actually is no glass over here either. Alright. So let's take a look at these columns. Now one big danger is where these solar panels are right now. They're very weak. I'm not even sure if this model is airtight or not. I wonder if it would tell me that. Next event. That's new. Well, anyway, it needs to be sealed from the inside. So I have to build up a row of blocks here to do that. And yeah, I want to get a lot of trickiness in this, but I kind of, right now I'm just kind of going simplistic so I can get a layout built before I start trying to go freaky alien look. We can put blocks here, and we can put blocks there, and we can put blocks there. So, well, maybe I ought to start thinking about freaky alien look right now then. Not sure yet. Not sure yet what I want to do with this. Start with something like that. Oh, not even lined up right. I see. Here we go. And one of these super thin blocks here. And I want to try to do a double curve. So I like the gap over here. I don't like the gap on the sides because this is 4 and this is 5. What did I do wrong over here? Oh, I didn't do it at the right spot. On this side. I see. Alright, well anyway, you kind of know what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do now is switch over to high speed. And I'm going to try to get some kind of downloaded royalty-free music in the background when I do this part as well. But I wanted to kind of explain this more and show you block converts. And of course, I just learned something new too, because there's new block types I didn't realize existed until now. But I'm gonna switch over to high speed mode and try to get jamming on this. All right. So we got kind of a base wall in place, and you can see a lot of blocks were added on the interior. Now, weak point, of course, would be single block thickness below the solar panels on this side. For the most part, this base is going to be probably I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 2 block wall thickness in most places. Hangar doors, again, are just weak. The only thing you can really do is like double up the hangar doors and take up a lot more space doing that. But this is the hangar. It's probably going to be the weakest part of the base as a whole. This area over here is actually going to be pretty tough, and there'll be a wall here as well separating it. So that's one chunk of the of this area. Now, I did want to indent the floor in yet, but I've got this ramp here too, and the only reason I wanted to indent the floor like I did with the waypoint is for a little bit of extra potential detail. But in this case, I don't know if that's going to work out so well, because I kind of wanted the floor to line up with the window over here and things like that. And if I indented it, it would make the area smaller because it already has a ramp. So I'm going to hold off on that. I'll think about it later when I actually finish this area off, texturing and whatnot, and final detail stuff. So on this side is going to be a little more tricky, especially near the hangar, as I want to get a crafting alley over here, and then of course access to the rest of the base, which would probably be in the center here. So I'm going to just put in some lines right now so I know where everything lines up correctly. So this would be technically the center, and obviously I can't, I guess I kind of could a little bit, but using symmetry on this just doesn't work out very well because it's not really symmetrical. So I'd probably just make life worse if I tried to turn that on. For the most part, it would screw up a lot of things. But I'm just kind of checking. Now everything doesn't quite line up. Like this door isn't perfectly centered to the middle of this room, because this side goes out further than that side. Things like that. Alright, so up here, just going to build a floor out a little bit for now. Okay, so I want to keep this lane free. I don't want anything really obstructing things there. And I like to do my little row, the things in front of the constructors, like the little blocks and whatnot, for deco purposes. So I'm thinking the constructors are going to start here, and then I got a open row over here I can mess with in front of the constructors. Now, of course, you know, I keep on trying to think, how do I make this alien? And I would like to have a lot of twisty walls and weird stuff, and I'm trying to get some of that in here on at least the base set of blocks, to break it up as I go. But I'll probably make some changes to that as time goes on, trying to get that a little bit set up differently. Next thing I'm trying to think about, well, that does get in the way, doesn't it? Let's see, is this base? I think this is base, yeah. So constructors, I don't know how many I want to put in here. And then there's also deconstructors. What's a good ratio? I'd like to have, I don't know, at least 3 advanced constructors due to the size of the base. And then maybe 1 or 2 deconstructors on this row. So what I'm thinking about doing now is to start to lay out some constructors to see how everything's going to fit. Let's say over here there were 3 of these. Actually, what side do I want these? Oh, I want it rotated that way. Okay, so that fits pretty good. Then we've got deconstructors. Grab a few of those for now. I got to think about storage as well, too. So, I don't know, what would you think? 1 or 2? Well, you know what? The deconstructors maybe ought to push all the way to one side over here, which would be kind of neat, actually. I'm not sure. This is probably a structural beam here, which I'm going to have to put back in place. And that's another part of this base, too. Before it's all said and done, I'm going to have to bring this into survival, I believe, to take a look at the structural integrity, because it doesn't seem to work in creative, correctly at least. Okay, so we got 2 constructors. Those kind of look alien anyway, so I kind of dig that. That's neat. I wish the lights were purple. But that's all right. We'll deal with it. Okay, so we've got that. We've got this. I'm thinking I wouldn't mind getting a 320K storage bin in right over here. So let me grab the parts for that. So how I usually like to do this, I like to lay one of these out where I want it. That is one thing too. Doing alien themes, so many of the parts, I mean, aren't alien, which really sucks. Like I wish I could change the facing of this to something else, but all I can really do is like rotate it on a couple different sides, so it could look like that or it could look like this. And I guess out of the 2, I'd rather go with something that's a little easier to identify, like what this is currently. So we'll just run with that for now. Okay, so as in this, I try to avoid shaping these too much because you get the most volume out of a full block. But in this case, you know what? Let's not do that now. Let's see where it comes out in the end. So basically, I'm kind of building up the floor and everything out of these pieces right now behind it. And we can keep on checking to see where we're at. There's no point on going over 320K. It's just a waste because it won't register and you just use more container extensions for no particular reason. So 256. Neat thing about this base too is you have this whole bottom area, and technically I'd probably be smart if I kind of built this up, because I could use these container extensions actually as support beams for the base, so I don't have to use other blocks there. And this is a fairly safe area, being underneath the floor of it. So maybe I will pull this back a little bit and not go quite as far out this way with it for now. And then in place, build it up down here. Just gotta see where I'm at again. 264, so about 6 to 8 more of these I think I can do. 320K just to make sure I'm right. I'm going to blow away one and see if it drops. And it did, so okay, this is the maximum allowed here for this particular storage controller. Now that's not all though, because I want another one right on the other side over here. And I do kind of like the idea of what's going down like it was. Give the base a lot of structural support there. Still needs quite a bit more. Of course, these two controller setups cannot touch each other, which is fine. Close. Okay, one more. Alright, so now I got two of these 320K setups. Should it have more? Base isn't going to be CPU compliant. In fact, I bet you I just blew it by doing that. No, I didn't. I'm not even close. Huh. I just figured with all the guns and things that are out there, granted this doesn't have much in fuel in it or anything right now, but maybe this could easily be 7500 CPU compliant. It is a base. They are technically, in my opinion, the easiest things to make CPU compliant. SVs, I believe, are probably the hardest, followed by HVs, which are very close. If I added another container system, how would I do that? Where would I put it? Well, I could technically pop one in here. See, now there's a lot of other parts I want to get laid out on this front area too. That would be, of course, your armor locker, health, cooking stuff. It's gonna need a pentaxid tank. I'd like to have quick access to fuel and O2 to directly put those in, even though it probably doesn't matter much anymore with the way it's set up with the Wi-Fi and everything. And technically I could fit more in here if I did it right. So, let's try. Let's go, maybe put one over by these deconstructors. And I'm gonna kind of break this a little bit right now. Okay, so now I know I lessened this container. Let me fix that up so it's 320 again. 280. So pop some more in here. Kind of neat though. Got a lot of room for this kind of thing, so it's really not too bad at all. Remove one. 312. Okay. However, I also want to take out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more of those. Okay. Alright, so you should be back at 320 again. And let's dump okay, we got that there. Now, we'll just consider this controller dedicated for deconstruction. Tell you though, this base has so many nooks and crannies in it. Pretty interesting. So I guess that's a thought on question I'd like to ask actually. For a base this size, and it's not going to be super cheap or anything for a base. But you know, I want it to be very functional, even though it's alien. What is everyone like for like the amount of like constructors and storage and deconstructors and all that? I really don't. You know, I done things my way, and I was always had a big emphasis on a lot of constructors because when I first started, I was building capital ships and stuff with them. So I would have like a lot of constructors, and I would have them all busy building parts for a ship and things like that. And I actually, my early ships were done in survival. Now, a lot of things have changed since then. So I guess in some ways I feel a little out of touch with that. So I just kind of guesstimate on what I think it should have, whether or not that's good or not. And I've always been curious on what people actually do like. Okay. All right, so that's 320K storage setups now. Not that I really care about the CPU, and I'm still under on CPU, so yeah, okay. When I'm that close, I'm thinking I don't know. I guess I'm not going to let CPU dictate what I should or should not do with the base. But it is kind of nice when you're that close to be able to stick with it just in case it ever is a thing that you're going to need to do. All right, so the next part here, I'd like to get some cooking and some parts in. So let's start with that area. Those and some fridges. So not down here. This isn't like the farm. So this is just kind of like a temp thing, I guess you could say. So it's not like full-blown cooking station. So I'm thinking just one of these and maybe one fridge so you have quick access down here. If I got room, maybe I can add a second fridge, but not necessary really. The fridges I hear hold a lot more than they used to as well. Okay, so let's just say for now that is it for cooking. Other parts and things. We'd want a armor locker, armor repair. Keep these around somewhere for now. We're not actually using concrete anymore either. And let's see, armor repair. I've got a little bit of room on the insides here too, but I was thinking actually about putting like O2 and a med bay there. So this stuff could actually be out over here a little bit. Now with bases too, and this is new and I'm trying to get used to it, is you need pentexid tanks with shields now. So, and you know what I did not do yet is get ammo in here. I probably ought to do a controller setup for that as well. That's going to get a little rough. Where the heck am I going to put that? Good question. Got plenty of room for the storage for it. I just got to figure out where to get the controller here. I'd like to leave these blocks open. I can't have it touching any of the existing ones. I could do something, well, I want to get LCDs above these things too, so that's why I've been putting these on the bottom row, and a container right above it usually works pretty good. In fact, over here, I'm probably going to do that here to remove this one, put one there, should keep it at 320. But man, where does ammo go? Guess I could try to dump it in the middle here, maybe move this elsewhere. I'm gonna play with that idea. I don't know what else to do. Okay, ammo controller right here, cool. Now, ammo doesn't need to be near as big. I think that would be, yeah, geez. That's kind of actually more than I probably need. 80K on ammo is a lot of ammo. $48K, not bad. How about just soon have it right in the 50s. So 56K. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think that's not a bad plan. Alright, so I guess I technically have room for a pentexid tank here yet too. So maybe I'll put that back. Problem is I like to have the armor locker and armor repair next to each other if possible. And I got the fridge and stuff dumped there now. So, but I'm just about out of like front row space here. Just pop in a couple other parts while I'm thinking about it here. Now another part too, and it's kind of difficult to do, before it's all finalized, I'm probably going to remove all these parts I'm placing except for the storage controllers and things like that, so I can texture easily around them. I don't know what I think about these new parts, new models for these parts. They're they're okay, but they never seem to line up very good anymore, which kind of bugs me a little bit, I guess. Um, I kind of like the old ones better, even though the models probably weren't as good looking as what these are, but they were easier to place and made more sense, I think. Just my opinion. Alright. What to do with the armor repair? Or I'm sorry, armor locker. I just don't have a spot anywhere for it. Oh, and another thing I'd like to get in here too is some conventional cargo boxes for just regular storage. But that, I think in this case, I could put maybe above the constructors. Let's grab some of them. I never like to use the small ones. They're always going to be the bigger ones. Which one of these would look the most alien? Really none. What does that look like? Kind of weird. I don't know, would you identify that as a cargo box? Typically, I guess I like to go with the more basic models, something like this. Like the same on both sides, not really. And look at all the text on it too. Well, for now, it could always be swapped out. Oops. Also, typically on interiors, I'd be using carbon substrate for all the little knickknacks on here. However, on this base, I'm not sure about that because I want it to be kind of tough. I guess if you had a hangar door blown out, which really doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of hit points. You gonna tell me the hit points now? Position. Actually, it looks like it doesn't tell you the hit points with the debug info on. Oh, it doesn't tell me it this way either. Oh yeah, it does. Oh, I was looking in the wrong spot. So 15,450. Huh, you know, these things toughened up awful lot. I do not remember them having so many hit points before. Now another thing too on the CV, something that was brought up about the ramps, or potentially using ramps instead of hangar doors, so you could get kind of a cooler look and different angles and things like that. So I just wanted to just take a look at what ramps actually have. Okay, so 250. So that is a huge difference. And let me just put in a big one and see if it makes any difference on size. It does not. So I think on the CV, in regards to using ramps instead of hangar doors, and you could set up a pretty cool ramp array, you know, have like open from two different sides and through the middle. I've seen it done before on some other creations, and it's really slick. I mean, I like how that looks. But man, it's weak. It's really, really weak. And you know, if you had a hanger door under the ramps, okay, that's fine. But just using the ramps as a hanger door, I think would be, I don't know, a mistake. I think it would be just so weak there that so easy to blow that out. 250 hit points per ramp. If you technically shot just one of them, you would have a breach, and that's not cool. As these things have bazillion times more hit points than that. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to stop the tutorial today on where it's at right now, and I think tomorrow I'm going to get in here and keep on working on this hanger, probably mostly in high speed. I'll try to explain my thinking, of course, but I think that would be it for today. This was a little bit longer video already, since I decided to chat a lot more. Well, anyway, you all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. Anything that sticks out or points of interest or things, let me know. And I especially would like to know what people actually like for their crafting area stuff. And I hope I'm hitting it pretty close to what is wanted at this day and time. And I have toned down the amount of constructors I run now versus what I used to. I used to be like 6 to 8 on larger things, and I've kind of dropped that down quite a bit now. But then you got the deconstructors too. So, all right. Well, you all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.